Hello and welcome to a new episode of the Seriously in Business podcast. Today, I want to talk to you all about what to do if you're launching your new brand, particularly if you're doing a rebrand. So say, for example, you've had a business for a couple of years and you've maybe DIY'd a logo at the start that wasn't very good, or you had a great logo, but it's time to kind of shift gears and change things up a little bit, and you're launching a new visual identity out into the world. Maybe you're changing your logo. You might even be changing your business name, maybe tweaking your niche slightly, whatever it is, and you're launching something a little bit different into the online world. I want to share with you how you can launch that in a really great way, particularly on Instagram. So maybe you've built a brand on Instagram and you're trying to launch that in a new way. This could also be helpful for you if you are just launching your brand for the very first time. I'll mention a couple things in here that could be useful, but this is definitely targeted at those of you who might be doing a rebrand. And so let's dive into how you can do that in a way that is not only going to be fun for you, but is also not going to alienate your audience and is going to prepare and excite people to be interested in your new brand. Let's dive in. All right, so there are 4 different ways that you can launch your new brand. The way that I see it, there's probably like 50 different ways, but I think there's 4 key ways, and there's one that I recommend. And so I'm going to go through those 4 ways just briefly over what I recommend. If you want more information on this or you want some templates to go with this, I've actually created a full video series training and template pack that you can use to launch your new brand. And so you can grab that, just go to diydesignmybiz.com/launch, and there will be everything that you need. There'll be a little pack that you can purchase that has a video training and a template set and another template set that you can use to launch your new brand into the world. But this podcast will give you a bit of an overview in the meantime. So firstly, the first way that you might want to launch your new brand is to not say a word. You might just post up a new picture with your new brand. And this one isn't all bad. It's not as bad as it sounds. If you are newer in business, maybe you're only maybe you created a bit of a brand for yourself like a few months ago and you've kind of now really solidifying it. And in the meantime, you didn't really grow like a huge audience. You probably don't need to do a full like new rebrand shebang kind of thing. You can probably just do a new post because you've only got like a few followers on there. It might just be your mum and a few friends and maybe a couple of stragglers that you found on Instagram along the way. If that's the case, feel free to do this version where you're just posting it up and you're just not saying too much. This is also helpful if maybe you haven't actually had a proper brand to begin with. Maybe you're kind of finally starting to solidify things and there's been nothing consistent so far. The fact that there's now going to be consistent things isn't going to be a groundbreaking thing to share about, but you're also welcome to do some of the examples I'm going to show later on. I think that's still useful even if you are brand new. All right, so that's option 1 is don't say a word. That's your first thing is just don't say a word about your rebrand. Just post up a new post that's got your brand on it. That's it. And you might not even say new brand. You might just post a post that's like just a post that's got the new look on it. All right, the second way that you might launch your new brand is to do one post. You might do a post on your Instagram that says, hooray, launching a new brand. This is what it now looks like. This is what my new logo looks like. This is what I believe in my business, and do like a beautiful, really great post that's just sharing your new business and your new brand. This one isn't all bad. However, we do have to remember something really important, and that is that people don't see everything that we post. Hopefully this post will get a little bit of traction because it's such a new fancy fun thing. But the chances of everyone who's following you seeing this once-off post is actually quite low. And so just doing one post might mean that you're still risking alienating your audience. So what I'm talking about when I say that is that imagine if you're following someone, you've been following them for a few years, maybe they stopped posting for a little while and you're like, or maybe the algorithm stopped sending you their content and you've kind of forgotten about them. You're not like in their world watching their stories, like obsessed with them every single day. If that's the case with people following you and your business, if you suddenly start posting totally different looking content to what people are used to, or maybe even changing your business's name, what that means is that the people are unlikely to actually remember who you are and why they're following you. So it might mean that when they see this once-off brand new post, then they're like, who's that again? Why am I following them? And they might hit unfollow because they're feeling alienated. They don't remember why they're following you. That's a really great reason to not do just don't say a word if you've got quite a strong brand and a strong following already. And if you are just doing that one post, just making sure that hopefully that one post is getting out to a lot of people, or resharing that post quite regularly on your stories, for example. Because then when you start posting the rest of your content in the new branding, if someone hasn't seen that one post, they might feel confused and alienated and not sure who you are anymore. So they may hit that unfollow button. So just really, I think the biggest point in this is just making sure we don't alienate our audience. So maybe adding in every now and then that you've got the new brand, or especially if you've got a new name. And if you're a personal brand, keeping your face somewhere around so people can recognize your face. I've seen people kind of like do a new brand, but nowhere do I actually even know who the brand is anymore. They might not have their name anywhere, or their face anywhere, and I might have followed them because I knew them as a person or I saw them one day at a conference or something. If I can't remember who they are, then I'm probably likely to hit unfollow as well. Keeping your face there if you are any sort of personal brand, just to make sure, and your name, just to make sure people can continue to connect with you. All right. The third way, which is the way I recommend, which I'll go into in a moment, is called the big drum roll. The big drum roll is my favorite way of doing a launch of a new brand. And that's where you're kind of really prepping people for this launch. You're kind of exciting them. You're doing a few posts in the lead up to make sure more people are seeing your posts, and you're creating some anticipation around that. I'll talk about that in a second. The last way is a clean slate. A clean slate means that you are just forgetting that you've ever run a business and you're starting again from scratch. This doesn't mean actually starting a new Instagram page, for example, but it might mean deleting or archiving all of your old posts and changing everything about your business and just posting your new posts. Again, I don't recommend this mainly for the alienating factor. It just might mean that if someone comes to your page and they don't remember who you are, they can't even scroll back and be like, oh yeah, that was such and they did such and such. I'll keep following them. They're like, who is this business? And so if you are doing a clean slate, just making sure that your posts are really obvious around, like you might, if you're doing a new name, you might say X name, formerly known as X name, Y name, the same name, just so people can remember who you used to be, or doing a post that's kind of like got the old versus the new, so people can see what the old looked like if they were new, if they kind of really got to know that old brand. And so just referencing a few things, if you do the clean slate, into who you are, what your business did look like or what it was formerly known as, and then introducing that new look. All right, so let's dig into that option 3 that I said of the big drum roll. So the big drum roll is this idea where, you're really building anticipation for your audience. They're excited to see what this new brand is. So what I recommend doing with this is doing a post a few weeks before you launch your new rebrand, kind of just sharing with people that there's something new coming. You don't have to share all of the details or what the new brand totally looks like. You might just share like a tiny piece or maybe a blurred out image or just a new design that kind of looks like what your new branding looks like, but it doesn't totally give everything away. You might even do, like if you've had a brand photo shoot, you might just do a part of the photo in that picture and be like, oh, there's something new coming. So doing that kind of thing can be really helpful just to start to build that anticipation, and doing not just one of those posts, but a few, maybe like 2 weeks before, maybe a week before, maybe 2 days before, maybe tomorrow, like as in like the day before, saying tomorrow something's coming, just to rev people up. And if you're a regular on Instagram stories, taking people along for the ride, like if you're working with a graphic designer or you're spending some time like doing a DIY course, like my course that teaches you how to do your own branding, and you're designing something in Canva, then you might maybe just take a picture of your screen and do like a little bit of a sneak peek of what's coming, or you might just do a picture of yourself working on stuff, or you might do like just something that kind of just shows that you're working on something new, or talking to your stories of how you're launching something brand new and you're really excited to share it with them, and this is why I'm doing it. So just kind of sharing the story and taking people with you on that journey of a rebrand, so that when you rebrand, it's actually that they're ready for it, they're excited for it, they've built this anticipation of, oh, I cannot wait to see what this is going to be, and you get to share that with them. And so doing some lead up posts, some lead up stories, and then when you're actually launching it, making a big deal about that. Maybe not just doing one post, maybe doing reposts, and you might pin those to the top of your Instagram grid, or you might do a post every few days just sharing different bits and pieces around the new brand, like maybe your new photo shoot, or maybe your new logo, or maybe your new website, or whatever it is, just sharing those. And then in the caption, sharing the heart behind it. Like, why did I choose this rebrand? Why am I rebranding? Like, because I want to connect with X client, because I want to serve you in this way. I want you to feel this way when you're working with me. All these different things, like just take people along for that journey, because it helps them to really buy into it, helps them to get excited by it, and helps them to just feel so not alienated at all. They've had enough opportunity over the upcoming weeks to see that this new brand is coming. So those are the 4 different ways you can rebrand. You've got your don't say a word, you've got just doing one post, you've got a big drum roll, or a clean slate. And if you are wanting some more help on particularly that big drum roll and learning what to post, when to post it, and getting some templates behind that, make sure you head to DIYdesignmybiz.com/launch, and there'll be a whole little pack that you could purchase there with a tutorial from me going into more detail on that. So thank you for joining me today. Have fun with your launch and your rebrand. It can be a really fun time for your business. So have fun with it. Don't alienate your audience. Take them along for the ride and enjoy the process. If you enjoyed this episode, feel free to hit subscribe. Feel free to let me know what you thought of the episode. Feel free to leave a review. Just helps more wonderful humans to find this podcast and hopefully get helped by its content. So thanks for joining me, and I'll see you for a new episode next week. Bye.